Hey guys, welcome back to Homemade Innovations. Today we're going to show you how to make a reliable dancing pad for DDR. Now we all know that DDR was a very popular game, and it still is a very popular game in the arcade, but that's about it. When it came out on the consoles at home, it was extremely unreliable, it didn't get the job done, and one of the primary factors is because of the pad itself it's too soft, it slips all over the place, it moves, it doesn't stay in place, and it's made out of this very soft plastic material. Now we're going to show you how to make a more reliable pad with under $100. Now the first thing is removing the DDR graphics cover. Okay, to do that you're going to cut the upper layer of the cover off using a X-Acto knife or a box cutter like we're doing right now. And you're going to go all the way around. Just make sure that you cut everything. It doesn't matter how deep you go. If you do it right, you should be able to just lift it off the pad like so and put it on the side, because we're going to be using this cover later for our graphics. Now the next thing is going to be opening the control board of the pad. To do that, you're going to have to remove 6 screws. So you can see right here. This screws, you can use a Phillips head screwdriver and you take this off. Once you completely removed all of the screws, the cap just comes off. Now these things right here are your leads. This is where you're going to be soldering your connections later on. Those are the buttons for your pad. Okay, so we go to the other side and we're going to take the non-slippery surface that really doesn't work quite as well and it doesn't get the job done, so we're going to take that off. And we're going to put that on the side because we're going to be using it later on as well. Okay, now the next thing that we want you to focus on is this line, the pattern that you see down here. Each one of these lines is connected to a button on your pad. So you want to remember where each button is according to your pad. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut that off and make a mental image of what we have there. So let's take this off from the side. Once you've completely taken everything off, you can make a drawing, and it's going to look something like this. And you can make a drawing so you can remember where the leads are later on when you're going to connect them properly. This is a very simple drawing that we made, kind of like to help us out, a map. You can obviously do a much better one than what we did, but we were trying to get everything done. Now we're going to cut out the graphics from the DDR pad. You can make any single shape that you want. All you got to do is cut out some graphics, or you can leave them in squares and triangles, whatever you want to do. This is the design that we picked, so we're going to use this one. And we did that to every single one of our graphics. Arrows, select, start, and X square, circle, triangle. Now you remember that anti-slip surface that really doesn't get the job done? This one right here that we took off? Okay, we're going to cut squares out of this one. So we're going to cut all the way across and make a foot by foot square. And we're going to need, I think it's 9 of them. So that's how it's going to look at the end. Now we're going to cut out square holes into the actual pads. To do that, you can just cut from the center and start cutting around. And these are going to be your new pads for your DDR. That's how it's going to look once you've completely covered everything. So now the next step is grabbing your 36 by 40 inch piece of plywood and covering it with aluminum foil. So you're going to measure out the 40 and the 36 inch, and you're going to start putting aluminum foil. Now we used aluminum tape to hold down the foil together because it still conducts electricity. And in between the gaps, as you can see here, you can use more aluminum tape to cover them up and reinforce the corners with additional aluminum tape. Whenever you've completely finished everything, you should have something that looks similar to this. And you go from left to right and you make a grid, kind of like where your buttons are going to be, and this is the finished product. As you can see, the grids are left to right and the corners are completely sealed. Now the next thing is going to place the graphics and paint the plexiglass with color of choice. Now this is our plexiglass, and we went ahead and painted a grid on one side of the plexiglass because that's where we're going to put our graphics. So we went ahead and we taped our graphics to the actual plexiglass, and now we have to paint the opposing end with the color of choice. Ours was black, so we painted everything in black, and we're gonna go ahead and let that dry for a little while. Next step is solder the leads from the control board to the copper wires that extend to the pad. So this is your control board, and we're gonna solder these leads to this. Once we're completely done with that, we're gonna put electrical tape on top of it just to hold additional, extra support, I guess. And now we're going to go ahead and make the buttons on the plexiglass by placing aluminum tape, and then we're going to place the glass on the top of it to complete the process. So here is the aluminum tape and all the leads going from the control board to the appropriate buttons. And remember those pads that we cut out earlier? We're going to put a duct tape and place them on top of those, and that's it. Now all we got to do is take the plexiglass, put it on top of our board, drill it down in the center with 4 screws, and that's how you make a DDR Dancing Pad. Thank you for watching, guys. You have a nice day.